once your portrait has been sketched in, before you trace, you need to think about your background. Because we're working on a smaller piece of paper, I won't need to put as much in my background, but think about details that represent you or your family or your culture, maybe a jacket that you always wear, things that represent you as a person, as an individual. It could be things that you're wearing, could be something you have on your head, it could be things on your walls. And it doesn't have to be extremely realistic, but it does need to look like a picture, not just things floating above your head. So since I'm working with a smaller space, I don't have as much room for detail because I used the space largely to fill my portrait up. Now I'm doing something a little more abstract this time. I'm kind of covered in paint, and there's paint behind me. Maybe I've even got a little paint on my cheek. If we're doing more detailed work, the painting up front, you can see that there is a lot going on in the background. I also put a clip in my hair because I wear those a lot. This actually used to be the color of the art room. I'm not going to go into too much detail explaining these symbols, but think about, don't just write something or tell someone exactly what it is that you're trying to say. Let the art speak for itself, and if they don't come to the same idea that you did, that's okay. I don't think I've ever told anybody exactly what my background means, but you can see that it's not just things floated above my head, not just like a football or an art paintbrush or writing things on the background. I've created a scene of some kind. And if you're doing something where there's a room, you need to create at least one line in the background where the floor and the wall meet, like your indoor horizon line. I made mine look a little more 3D by doing an angled line back first and then a straight line behind that. And then right where those two lines meet, I do a line straight up. So something like, if this was my head, my line came back, over, up. So now I have two walls and a floor space. So if you're doing a space that has a room, I'd recommend doing something like this. It looks a little more three-dimensional, but you need to think about things on this wall space, things on this wall space, and what you're going to do on the ground. So don't leave those just blank. Alright. But for this one, since it's smaller, doing something a little more abstract. I'm going to add lots of colors to that later, and shading. And for now, I'm going to start in with my Sharpie. Once it's finished, start erasing. Please be careful as you erase and keep your hand close to where you're actually erasing, because if it gets too far away, it'll start to bend your paper or fold it, and that's how things get ripped or ruined. When you get to the edges of your paper, I am pressing and then lifting up my eraser so I don't accidentally pull the paper back. I'm just pushing it away from my hand.